So we are asking ourselves whether it is possible to bring about a deep psychological revolution in ourselves, not outward revolution. The outward revolutions have failed. The French Revolution, the recent revolutions, the French and the Communist Revolution, they have failed utterly. What is important is that there should be a psychological mutation, a fundamental change in the very cells of the brain. Because our brains are conditioned. That is, the cells in the brain are conditioned. The speaker is not a specialist in the brain, in the structure of the brain and so on. But he has discussed with a great many scientists and so on. It's not important. But one can watch it in oneself. Much more important than talking to innumerable scientists and their authorities and their contradictions. One can see in oneself how our brains are conditioned. As a Hindu, a tradition. As the Jew, as the Muslim, as the Christian. Nationally, linguistically, religiously, economically, our brain is conditioned. And we're asking whether that very brain which has been conditioned through knowledge, through education, whether those very cells can bring about a mutation in themselves. You understand? Do we understand each other? The problem? Suppose the speaker has been trained as a Muslim, repeating the Quran from boyhood, and his brain naturally has adjusted itself to the words, to the content of the words, to the meaning of words, and so on. So the brain becomes conditioned by the climate, by the food, by the tradition, by your education. So knowledge itself becomes the conditioning factor. Right? I wonder if you see this. Do you see this? Are we meeting each other somewhere? Please tell me, otherwise you can't. Knowledge is the outcome of experience. And experience and knowledge are limited. Look at the scientists, what they are doing. After 200 years, they have gradually accumulated knowledge, bit by bit, through hypothesis, through various forms of experiments, acquire a great deal of knowledge about matter and so on. So knowledge is never complete. It's always limited. Whether knowledge of Quran or your sacred books or the Bible. Because it's based on experience. And experience is always limited. When once you grasp that fact, the reality of that, then all thinking is limited. Right? all thinking. Thinking is the reaction of memory. Memory is stored in the brain, in the very cells. And those cells have been conditioned through centuries of human living and experience and struggle, or that those cells are conditioned, limited. And we are asking whether those cells themselves can undergo a fundamental mutation, so that a man, human being, is entirely different, no longer conditioned. You might say that's not possible. That will be natural reaction. It's not possible. We have lived this way for so many centuries, and you are saying it can. How can that change take place, that mutation? That's what we are going to inquire together. That requires a great deal of inquiry, great deal of attention, energy, passion to find out. But if you are lethargic, as most of us are, occupied with so many things, occupied with our living, frightened with what's going to happen, frightened of the past, frightened of the future, frightened of the present. And if our brain is so clogged up, as most brains are, then the first question is it possible to solve problems, to have no problem?